Nuremberg, home to the sculptor Weizstoss and the painter Albrecht Dürer. His house was right next to the castle walls behind me. This is Dürer's famous hair, and this is the earliest known paper card model, a crucifix from 1529, the work of another well-known Nuremberger and a contemporary of Dürer's.
Georg Hartmann was a theologian, mathematician, and a gifted builder of precision instruments such as astrolabia and sundials. Like Dürer, he was fascinated in the ever-growing possibilities of a new medium invented by a fellow countryman only 70 years earlier. Gutenberg built his printing press circa 1440, undoubtedly one of the most important inventions of modern civilization, starting the printing revolution and the democratization of knowledge. It took a while for the technology to spread, but it wasn't long before both our Nurembergers and the rest of Europe could take advantage of this wonderful technology that allowed for relatively inexpensive printing. The art of card modelling began with this crucifix, and amazingly, the language of these graphics hasn't really changed in half a millennium. It's the same today: cut, score, fold, and glue. Hartmann's genius, combined with that of Gutenberg, allowed the two-dimensional world of print to be transformed into 3 dimensions. This seemingly simple object is in fact a relatively complicated instrument because it can be used as a sundial. All you have to do is place it onto a perfectly level surface with the arms of the cross pointing north and south, and then lean it towards the south so that the arms are parallel with the Earth's axis, i.e. they point towards the pole star. The crucifix features an inscription next to the inclination indicator. It's a short credo, a prayer ending with the statement, "Georg Hartmann from Nuremberg made this in the year of the siege." This statement allows us to date the crucifix precisely to 1529, the year that the Ottoman Sultan, Suleiman the Magnificent, laid siege to Vienna.
The history of card modeling started in Nuremberg, and we are still in Nuremberg, this time a few kilometers south of the castle, an area well known for a somewhat less glorious part of German history.
This place is commonly associated with the rise of the Nazis to power, the site where Nazi party rallies were held from 1933 until 1938. We shall return to this sad period of European history in due course, as even card models had their part to play in politics and wars. But first, let's have a look at what the world is doing here today. The Nuremberg Toy Fair is probably the most important toy fair in the world. As modern communications become more sophisticated, people become lazier and less willing to travel great distances, and yet, incredibly, traders still come here from all over the world to buy and sell toys. Fortunately, this is a very different crowd from the one that you could see in these grounds in the 30s. It's certainly a lot more democratic and a lot less organised. The toys on show here come from all over the world and include teddy bears, rocking horses, and building bricks. There are also games, books, and, apropos our story, toys for bigger girls and boys, which fall under 2 categories: handicrafts and hobbies. Little boys play with small planes and trains. Bigger boys play with bigger planes, trains and ships, and there are 3 huge halls of model railways, radio-controlled planes, big ships, scale models, collector's models, and goodness knows what else. The instant that you pass from the Teddy Bears Hall into this area, the price of items ramps up dramatically in some instances 100 times or more. Can you still call these objects toys if their target user age is more like 50 than 5? Here at the crossroads of halls, ages and prices, and surrounded by scale models, we find our company's stand. Schreiber was established as a publisher back in 1830 and started printing cut-out sheets some 40 years later. We were one of the original exhibitors at the first Nuremberg Toy Fair in 1950 and have been attending ever since.
Our knowledge of the period between Hartmann crucifix of 1529 and the 19th century is fairly limited, although we do know that as the cost of paper and printing fell, card modeling became more popular.
Yes, indeed. We have proved that building geometric shapes, buildings and other models was becoming increasingly popular long before the Napoleonic era. Evidence has been gleaned from the unlikeliest places. Both Goethe and Dostoevsky reference the card modeling hobby in two different eras and contexts.
Ich hatte früh gelernt, mit Zirkel und Lineal umzugehen.
I learned early how to use a compass and a ruler, as I benefited from all the education given me in geometry, and paperwork took all my attention. I didn't stop at making geometric shapes, such as cuboids and the like, but thought about building beautiful villas with columns, stairs and flat roofs, but not much came of it in the end.
Wovon jedoch wenig zustande kam.
Andrei Antonovich von Lembke did not shed many tears, but made a paper theatre. The curtain was raised, the actors entered and gesticulated with their arms. It was all made of cardboard. It was all thought out and executed by Lembke himself. He spent 6 months over this theatre. On the other hand, he cut out a complete toy railway, and again his creation was most successful. He was a whole year busy with this clever contrivance. In Dichtung und Wahrheit, Goethe wrote about his hobby, ambition and part failure. Dostoevsky must have witnessed card modelling as a hobby that was popular among Russian Germans, the carder of Tsarist clerks and officials. Interestingly, while Goethe shows the good aspects of his hobby, developing precise handicraft skills, imagination and patience, Dostoevsky paints a much bleaker image. Von Lembke is an introvert. He turns to making unbelievably complicated card models whenever he meets failure in life, for example, when rejected as a candidate for marriage, when rejected by his publishers, and so on.
Card modeling doesn't seem to be the healthiest of hobbies in that case.
Oh no, on the contrary, card modeling actually teaches some very useful handicraft skills and all in the most environmentally friendly manner. It's basically paper, scissors and a water-based glue. This book by Heinrich Rockstraw and published in Leipzig in 1810 during the Napoleonic Wars was regarded as a very useful teaching tool. The whole philosophy behind Schreiber's way of working can be summarized as Lernen durch Tun or learning through doing. That's what learning should be about, shouldn't it?
Yes, and that's what this hobby is all about. You suddenly ask yourself, how come I know how to do this? Where does Schreiber-Bogen come into the world's history?
Not surprisingly, is Germany again. But at that time, and we are speaking about the mid-19th century, it wasn't one Germany, but numerous German duchies and states. I think you should really go to the town of Esslingen, some 250 kilometers west of Nuremberg, in the valley of the Neckar in the kingdom of Württemberg. It's a very beautiful place.